All right, welcome back to what we've just invented or called, whatever.
You want to start over?
Oh my
man.
god. Welcome to the homie Squak. Okay? That's what it's
Okay.
called. Deal with it.
Okay.
Would you like a second try, bud?
Yeah, you want to try again, kiddo?
Clip each other. I see you're trying to make a podcast.
Oh my god.
All right,
like
all
some
right.
help with your towels?
We're currently recording our 5th episode, and I'm joined today by the usual squad. Squad. Yeah, I got Gigi, Hannah, and Trevor with me,
Yo.
Oi.
Yep.
and we got some more hot questions fresh off the grill.
Suck.
So hot.
Yeah, they're so hot and greasy and oily, you can't even handle it. So
You'll need napkins.
no, you're gonna need like a towel, like a beach towel. Just wipe it all
Oh
down.
man, should have used an air fryer. Less messy.
No, this one's getting super
Oh my
messy. Anyway, it's a messy start. So anyway, so we'll get into it with Gigi. She's
Oh.
gonna ask her question, and you know the drill. So, Gigi.
Yes. So my question is, what is the worst movie you've seen in theaters? Like you paid money to go see this movie, and you were like, "This sucks."
I didn't know it had to be one we paid for. But
No, I was just
Well, no.
saying. In theaters.
when I was in college,
Oh.
my college would get some like fundraisers every once in a while so that they could take us to the movies every once in a while, like for free.
That's
We kind of had to
nice.
like just sign up or whatever, and they made part of the budget so that we could go see movies because we were animation students, so why not? So one of those movies that we went to go see, and to this day, I'm like, thank you, Jesus, I didn't pay for it because I would have been more upset if I did. But the movie was Star Wars, or Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's the worst movie I ever saw in theaters.
Oh, come
And
on.
here's why.
Here's
Why?
Hot take.
Hope
Hot
half
take
an hour.
alert.
Yeah, here's my hot greasy take.
We don't say anything about Greece.
We've been talking about Grease this whole time. Grease is the word. Anyways, that movie was so boring and so just, it didn't do anything for its characters. It introduced them, it didn't tell you much about them, and then it expected you to care when they all died. And
Spoilers.
yeah, spoilers for a movie that's
Seriously.
been out for a while.
It's only been like 3 years.
Mm, that's debatable.
Well, it would be
Anywho's.
fact if it was true.
Exactly.
I'm looking
Facts
at
aren't debatable.
In America, they are.
Would you just let me get through my hot take?
Yes. Sorry.
Anyways, the
4 years. It's been out 4
Yes.
years.
Thank you, Trevor.
Anyways.
So, anyways, because I'm out of ways to say anyways. This movie expected a lot from the people watching it, and the only thing I could really appreciate it for was two things. One, that it was trying to do something different, which I appreciate, because obviously before this we had Force Awakens, and Force Awakens was basically New Hope, but with some new shiny paint on it.
Yeah.
And
It was shit.
how dare you?
You said it was shit?
I'm looking back at it now. I don't really care for it.
Okay.
Anyway,
the second
sorry.
thing, the second thing I appreciated it for was the 5 maybe no, 2 minutes maybe that we saw Darth Vader on screen, and he just was badass for
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yes.
So
The Darth
that's
Vader
Darth Vader.
that should have been.
Yeah.
Not that the
Yeah.
original Darth Vader wasn't cool.
Exactly.
But yes.
Oh, come
But
on.
he was cool.
He did like one force choke. He lazily swung his lightsaber. That was pretty much all he did.
He just trolled Luke for 3 movies, pretty much.
Yeah, there you go. So getting
by
to
the
see
way,
him be a
your dad.
badass
Yes.
was cool. But overall, I remember sitting in that movie theater chair with my arm on my hand, just waiting for something to happen. Like, even the set design of that movie, while it looked pretty cool as far as like, you know, very industrial in the cities and stuff, all the lighting was like super dark. It was meant to be like a dark movie because all your characters were going to die at the end, but you gave us no reason to care about any of them.
Yeah.
And what's her face? Whoever played Felicia something, who played Jin Erso. She was so expressionless. It reminded me of like Kristen Stewart from Twilight. Just like make some emotion, do something. And I remember being really excited for that movie too, because the trailer gave us like this whole different story. Like they were trying to misdirect people, and they made you think like, ooh, maybe she was a clone trooper at some point. Like maybe she was a stormtrooper. That would be cool. Nope. She just wore it for like 2
Lies.
seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really bored through that movie. I remember walking out of that theater and everyone was like, "Oh my god, that movie was so awesome! What the hell, man!"
So awesome,
And
bro.
I was,
Southern accents?
Yeah.
yes, you know, up in
South?
Northern California how they talk.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had to stay silent through that because I was so disappointed with it. So that is the movie I did not like watching in theaters. Whatever the question was.
I liked that movie. I liked it for what it was. It's not. I wasn't going into it thinking like, oh man, it's gonna be really good. But I mean, I have to watch it again because it's been a while. But from what I remember, I liked it. Okay, so the movie that I ended up choosing, I don't go to the movies that often. I think out of the 4 of us, I probably go the least because I just
Probably.
I don't.
That's
I'm not.
true.
I'm not really a huge like movie theater person. I mean, I'll go with my friends if they really want to go, which are you guys, and we all live in different parts of the states. So you know, we don't go
I
to
think we
movies.
dragged you to Moana once.
I think we dragged him to like every movie.
I
Have
liked.
you guys wanna
I
go?
I actually liked Moana. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But this is not Moana. This is this movie I saw with a high school girlfriend of mine, and it was a movie we weren't even planning to see. We were actually going to see, I don't remember what movie, but it was a rated R movie, and we couldn't get in because we were high schoolers. And
Baby.
I think, and she was actually 17 at the time, but so she had her ID.
An older lady. Oh.
I was 16.
Still older than you.
Yeah. Anyway, so so we went
Fine, guys. I was 9.
we went in.
Ew.
Hannah. Gross.
No.
So we went in expecting to see this rated R movie, and then, excuse me, even with her ID, the guy was like, "Yeah, no, you can't see it." And it was kind of bullshit, but we were like, "Okay, well, we're here, so what are we gonna watch? What are we gonna do?" And then we asked him like, "Well, what other movies are playing right now?" And then he suggested Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
That's the one with Mark Wahlberg.
Marky
And-
Mac.
Yeah, and that movie was awful. It was so bad I don't even remember anything from it. I don't remember the the plot. I don't remember the characters' names. I don't remember who died, who lived, what was happening. I don't remember any of it. It was so bad because I was bored out of my mind. I remember just sitting there like I think I asked her at one point. I was like, "Do you even want to like finish watching this?" And then she was like, "Well, we paid for it. Let's just stay." I'm like, all right, whatever. And then so we watched it, and that's the only time I've seen the movie, and it's probably the only time I'm going to watch the movie. I looked it up just for shits and giggles, and it got 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that just shows you how bad it was. Yeah, it just was uninteresting. It was just one of those Michael Bay movies. A lot of, CGI explosions and pointless shit. I don't know. None of it made sense. I wasn't really huge on any of the Transformer movies.
I actually remember being excited for that one because there was going to be the dinosaur Transformers in it. But then when I watched it, they were in like 2 seconds of the movie.
Wow.
Like, oh.
What a tease.
What a tease.
So yeah. And that's funny because I kind of remembered that movie remembered that I saw it in theaters just a couple of minutes ago before we started, and I changed my answer last minute. The answer I had before was actually not a terrible movie. It just happened to be the worst I saw in theaters. It was Annabelle, the movie with the doll, the horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was a terrible movie. It just wasn't like, top notch. And I couldn't think of anything, so that's what I wrote originally. But then I remembered that little Transformers movie. So, yeah, that's my pick. I don't recommend seeing that movie. If you haven't seen it, just don't.
Okay. For mine, I went with the movie Dragon Ball Evolution. No reactions from my co-hosts, so I'm just gonna go on a limb and say no one else has seen it. Probably never even heard of it. Maybe
heard of it, didn't see it.
Okay,
see it.
so
Don't know what it is.
someone had the idea to make a live-action Dragon Ball Z movie. I believe I was in college when it came out. I went with my friend Nick. Pretty much saw like all the movies together, and I knew going in that it was gonna be garbage. But I was expecting some decent moments in it, but there were none. There was absolutely zero redeemable things about that movie. They changed characters. Goku was just some weird high school kid person, I think. I'm not sure. Piccolo looked like crap. Like, the whole movie was just awful. And I don't know, just I when I go see a movie or play a game or whatever, like, I like to look on the bright side, look on the silver lining, find the silver lining or whatever, like, well, at least, it had good music or whatever, but I was just so disappointed. And I thought, okay, well, it was a horrible Dragon Ball movie, but what about just rating it as a normal movie, like just a movie? And even then, I couldn't find any redeemable features in it. So they dropped the ball. Get it, Dragon Ball? They dropped the ball.
Good one.
On 2 different playing fields.
What's it
Sounds
called?
like it.
It's called Dragon Ball Evolution.
Sounds like it suffered the same fate as when they tried to make a live-action Avatar, The Last Airbender movie.
Now, I can't speak for that because I didn't watch that, and I just recently went through the animated series.
It's the only reason I mention it is because it's been compared to that Dragon Ball movie, because of just a lack of understanding by the directors and creators of those movies of the original source material, and just like a lot of whitewashing characters that probably shouldn't have been white. There's just multiple issues with both of them, and they're both at the bottom of the barrel for movies.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of people's complaint of Goku. They're like, oh, you know, it's a Japanese-made thing. But the thing, like, Goku's an alien. Like, he's not Japanese. He's an alien. So that didn't bother me. But yeah, I agree with your first statement where it was probably like, oh, hey, here's this huge franchise that has like a cult following, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to do that because we're going to make money on it.
Yeah.
It was probably like one of those types of situations.
Oh, probably. Then the same. I would say the same thing happened with the Power Rangers movie that they did recently too, where they were like, "Ooh, people like Power Rangers. Let's feed off some nostalgia here."
Yeah.
And the Ninja Turtles.
Oh God, no, not the turtles.
And they made two.
Not the turtles.
I'm pretty sure.
They had lips.
They were fucking
They had
awkward.
lips.
Oh,
Ugh.
God.
Was it Megan Fox in that?
She was.
Yeah.
Every Michael Bay.
And not only that, I remember she critiqued Michael Bay, and he's like, "Oh, I'm no longer gonna use you in my movies," and then here she is again.
Whatever happened to
don't
her?
know
I
what
feel like she just kind of disappeared.
Probably did.
I will never stop being mad at her for her white pants in Transformers 2, and how they did not get dirty at all.
When she was working on the car.
No,
Oh.
no, not that. She was
Oh.
running through the desert. There's sand and explosions and like ash everywhere, and her white pants are sparkling through all of it. It was horrible.
Yeah.
She was like, "Wait, I need to clean my pants real quick. Hold on."
She's got like the
my
tide
to go.
Yeah, tide to go.
Yeah, the time to go. Yeah. Oh man.
Dang.
Okay, so for me, the worst movie I saw in theaters was Dinner for Schmucks. I think it's how it's pronounced.
You don't like that movie?
No.
That's what I was about to say.
Okay, so to be fair, I didn't know about Steve Carell and his sense of humor then. But I just remember sitting through the movie and I went with the date and I was like, they were laughing, but I was just sitting there like going, this is not funny. How are you laughing? And then it got to like an awkward squirrel thing, dinner maybe, and I just remember going, this sucks. Like, I wanted to leave the movie theater. And then
Wow.
the projector stopped. And then they couldn't fix it. And I was so
Gigi starts
happy.
cheering. She's like, yeah!
I was like, thank God.
All right, what's
And then
for
we
dinner,
got-
guys?
Yeah, we got a refund and
Schmucks.
then didn't
Schmucks
go
are
back
for
to
dinner.
watch it. They're like, oh, you can go back and go through the movie, or we can refund you. And I was like, I want my money back.
Give me that
So-
money.
So when you say you didn't know about Steve Carell's humor, does that mean you hadn't like watched anything he was in prior to that?
Yes. Yeah, because I didn't watch The Office until like way later. This was like, I don't know when that came out.
I'm looking it up.
was-
2010.
Yeah, so I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think before that he had been in like what 40-Year-Old
Anchorman.
Virgin, maybe?
Yeah, 4-year-old virgin.
Yeah, see, I wasn't allowed to watch any of those movies, so this was like the first movie I watched. with Steve Carell.
Yeah, I'm the one who got her into The Office.
Yeah.
We're proud of
So
you
I
for
was
that.
just- it's just like, what the fuck is happening? And I just remember going, this is really weird. I don't find this funny. And then I really wanted the movie to end. And then all of a sudden, bam, projector stopped working.
Yeah.
That day I discovered I had mind powers.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen the movie I think once, and from what I remember, I liked it. But maybe I should give it another watch and see if it has.
Dang,
How well
that's
it's
what I was
aged.
thinking.
Got
I
that.
looked it up on Google and they had like a high rating, like a decent rating, I'll say. And I was like, maybe I just like overdosed it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got that classic moment with what's his name? Zach Galifianakis, where he's wearing the little like dicky around his neck, and he's like a tax guy, and he's trying to get he's trying to like IRS fraud the main character, and he starts laughing, but it's like a wheeze, and it's he's like holding his breath while he's laughing, and his face is turning super red.
Yeah, I feel like I
It's
remember
like
that.
one of the funniest laughs.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that part. The movie
That's-
overall is okay, but it's not like the best.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Hannah's got a doozy.
Yeah. Well, I did like a sort of dark question last time, so I figured I'd lighten it up.
How often do you try to kill yourself?
Fuck.
Right.
Jesus
That-
Christ.
I mean, that last podcast episode, we did mention killing ourselves a lot. So,
We did.
We did?
Okay,
Well,
anyways.
sacrificing
Yes,
For the greater good.
for the
For
greater good.
the greater good.
Classic.
Greater.
So I thought I'd lighten it up a little bit since I'm the sad one. And my question this week is, what are your top 3 comedy movies and your favorite moment from each one?
Okay, so I'll get started on this one. I'm going to start at number 3, and I think it's kind of interchangeable, like what my number 3 would be, but just because I've seen it recently and it's brought back a lot of, I guess, memories of when I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid. I have Team America, and
Nice.
I think Trevor's the only one that's seen it.
I've seen
I've seen it.
Oh yeah, you've all seen it?
it.
Mhm.
Cool.
Makes you assume.
So
I know,
sorry.
right?
for anyone that's actually watching and haven't seen the movie, it's from the creators of South Park, and it's a total joke movie about, I guess these people who are so full of themselves, and they're called Team America, and they're the world police, and what they think they're doing is just saving the world from terrorists, but really all they're doing is causing more destruction. And it's all puppets. It's not like a live action movie. They're all puppets. So I thought that was an interesting thing from the movie, the fact that they were puppets. It added a lot of extra humor to the movie because, they're puppets.
Like the fight scenes.
I know, yeah. And it was just a whole mess of funny moments in that movie. Pretty much South Park at its best, but it wasn't South Park, but it basically was. And my favorite part of that movie is there's a monologue when the main character's in a
Oh my
bar. And it's so great because the monologue, it's so ridiculous and it's so funny, but when you actually think about it, it's so like spot on, and it's genius.
Do you have it ready?
I can kind of quote a lot of it, but not like, I'm not gonna say it word by word. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
So there's this guy in the bar. He comes up to the main character, and he's super drunk. He's just some random guy, and he starts going off about how there's 3 kinds of people in this world, and he calls the main character Chuck, and his name's not Chuck, it's Gary, but the guy's just like, there's 3 kinds of people in this world, Chuck. You got your pussies, your dicks, and your assholes. And then he goes on and he's like, pussies just want everyone to get along, and dicks just want to fuck everybody. But then you got your assholes, Chuck. And assholes, they just want to shit all over everybody. And then it's just one of those things where it's like, when you think about it, it's like, it's so true, but it's so ridiculous at the same time. And it's like, I don't know, it's not like, I don't know what the right word is, but it's not frustrating, but it's like, how can something so stupid be so like right? And I don't know, every time I watch that scene and then what happens after that, when he keeps saying all these profanity words, and
He ends on you get your pussies and your dicks all
all
covered in shit.
Yeah, and then Gary starts just vomiting like out of this world nonstop. And when you hear it without seeing it, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's just a guy vomiting. But when you watch it, it's just so fucking funny. The last time I watched it was like like a month ago, and I just could not stop laughing at that part. I was laughing so hard I got like a headache, and I had to pause the movie and just it
Oh my
was
god.
it was so great. So that's like, I just something I say a lot, or I used to say a lot when I was a kid, at least.
Oh jeez.
Not when I was
A
a kid, when I was like in high school, because my friends and I would watch that movie all the time, and it's a good watch. It's a good movie, lots of funny moments. And then my second favorite is a movie that I've only seen once, and I wish I had seen it sooner, but it's one of those movies where I watched it and I just instantly was like, oh my god, this is a really good movie. And it's a classic. It's Airplane.
Nice.
And
I saw Venus.
oh, Gigi, you're missing out. It's so
Oh,
funny.
you're missing out.
It is so fucking funny. I love that humor because it's like, I think it's called deadpan humor, something like that, where it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like really like, like there's a punchline, but there's not. I don't
like
know.
offhand humor where
Yeah.
like you're expecting one thing, but it's another thing.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, that movie had me laughing nonstop also, and I just couldn't get over it. And then there was so many like great moments in that movie, but one that me and my dad always joke about is, or we did after we watched it. We don't really talk about it like all the time, but after we watched it, we joked about it for like a week. But it's the part where I think it's towards the end of the movie when they're trying to land the plane, and the main character, he's like sweating a lot, and
Yeah.
then it shows, and then it shows him sweating like normally, and then it shows him again, and he's just getting like water poured on him basically. And then he shows him again, and it's just like pouring down like buckets of water on his face as he's trying to land. And then what's that guy's name? The old guy.
Leslie Nielsen?
Yes, Leslie Nielsen. He comes in and he's like, what does he say? He says, I know.
I just want you both to know.
We're all counting on you.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and then he comes back later when the airplane's like shaking crazy, and then it focuses in on him, and obviously it's just the camera shaking, and he just walks in all calmly and says the same thing again. And then I think he comes in a third time after the plane has already landed and they've succeeded, and he's like, I just want you both to know, we're all counting on you. When it's already over. And then another one that I thought of was, I like the dynamic between the pilots and the co-pilots. There was like a famous basketball player. I don't remember his name.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes, that guy. Thanks for all the help on this one, guys. Him, and then the pilot and the other guy. All their names they kind of sound like what you would say in a cockpit. So the one guy's name is Roger, the other one's is Clarence, and the third guy was I think it was Victor. And then so they kept, as they were taking off, they were saying like, blah blah blah, and then they'd be like, Roger that, Roger, and then Roger's like, huh? And then the other guy's like, we have Clarence, huh? What? And then it's like, and then the other one says something about like a Victor.
Yeah, what's the vector, Victor?
Yeah. Who? I just thought that was so like, I don't know. It's like, it's I don't know, when you watch it, it's just so funny. And then another scene, I can go on and on, but I'll just mention one more. The little kid, Joey, comes into the cockpit, and he's like, and then Clarence is like, he's like, you ever been in a cockpit, Joey? No, sir, I haven't. You ever seen a grown man naked? And he just goes on and asks him like these random ass questions.
Have
like,
you ever been in a Turkish prison?
Yeah. You ever start looking around in a gymnasium? So it's one of those movies that I'm definitely gonna watch like at least 20 times in my lifetime. And then my number one pick, you guys might already know. It's a movie that I have seen at least 20 times, maybe more. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. It's Shaun of the Dead. That movie, for me, it's not like laugh out loud funny constantly, but I think the movie really succeeds with its like, I don't know, I guess the timing of all the jokes, and
Yeah.
it's really witty, and it's also not just a comedy. It's not horror, like it's not a scary movie, but there's zombies in it, obviously, and that's what it's about. But they add humor to the zombie movie, and I think one of my favorite like cross genres is like comedy horror movies, just because it's funny to see something that should be serious be not serious. Um, and one of my favorite moments from that movie is I think one of the main messages from the movie is the fact that everybody in the world, or at least in this in that world, um, is kind of already a zombie because they just kind of go through the motions every day. They go to work, they go to a bar, they sleep, they wake up, they do the same thing the next day, and you can see that in the movie, especially in the main characters. Um, and then when Sean, the main character, goes to the liquor store one normal morning, he's just kind of has his head down. He's going to the liquor store. He talks to the guy at the liquor store, and gets a paper, whatever, comes back, and that's it. And then the next day, he does the same exact thing. Only this time, there's a zombie apocalypse happening, and everybody outside that usually walks by him is walking by him again. Only this time, they're all zombies, and they're all trying to eat him. But he literally does the same exact thing and doesn't notice a thing because the whole joke is that he's deemed as someone who's just totally unknowing of what's happening around him, just like a zombie would kind of be. And I just think that scene is kind of clever because it's just, I don't know, it's just the same thing over, but he's just walking through the neighborhood and there's a bunch of zombies and he doesn't give a shit because he's not even looking up and he doesn't notice it at all. And I thought that was just clever.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
it's a good watch.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
That's a good movie.
It is a good
Yeah,
movie.
that one and Hot Fuzz. You should watch both of those.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say recently watched them, but I watched them for the first time a couple of years ago. They're
Yeah.
pretty good.
Okay, those are my three.
Right. So for mine, I don't have them in any particular order. I don't even know how to start ranking these three, but I'm just gonna read them in the order that I have them written down. But I have Joe Dirt. That's one of them. I don't even know how many times I've seen that movie. I love that movie so much. Like whenever it was on TV, that's what I was doing. Like I'd just be flipping through the channels. Oh hey, it's Joe Dirt, and then I would watch it until it was done. But there's a couple scenes that really stuck with me. Not as in like it's monumental or whatever, but just it was so out of there and funny. There's one where he has what he thinks is an atomic bomb strapped to his back, and he's in, I think, like a post office or no, it was like a tourist thing for the Grand Canyon. It's like, oh, I need a list of everyone who visited the Grand Canyon on this date. And then he just kind of thrown out demands. And he's getting his list, and then the sheriff, he comes up and it's like, oh, this isn't a bomb. This is a septic tank. And then he knocks off the top, and like all this crap just starts running down him.
Yeah.
God.
So he's in the shower and he goes, I got the poo on me.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
And then there's another scene where he's in Louisiana. He finally found the home that he kind of grew up in, like his original family house. But he's talking to a local who has such a heavy accent that he can't understand him at all.
Yeah.
just like, hey, sir, do you know what happened to the people who lived here? And then the guy's like, they bow. Anyway, that scene's absolutely fantastic too. Alright, so moving on. I have the other guys on here as well.
Yeah.
I saw this movie in the theaters with Nick, and my absolute favorite moment from this movie is when Dwayne Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson,
Yep.
they're chasing these guys, and they're professionals. They make their way up to the roof. They have a zip line down to some other building, and then they cut the zip line. So Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne Johnson, not wanting to lose the perps, they're like, aim for the bushes? It's like, aim for the bushes. And they jump, and there's no bushes, no awning, there's nothing down there to stop their fall.
It's really, it's in the middle of a city, yeah.
Yeah. And, like, it's so not what you're expecting from these guys, because they're, it's playing on the trope like they're the main characters, nothing bad ever happens to them.
Yeah.
And they die instantly. they hit the ground and that's it. And like
man.
every now and then I'll just go like aim for the bushes.
Yeah. I've heard it.
And another moment I thought that stood out for me in that movie was Will Ferrell's and Marky Mark's characters. They're following up on a lead because someone stole Will Ferrell's phone and accidentally dialed his ex-wife. Or was it ex-girlfriend? I think it was ex-girlfriend.
Just girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah. So they go to her house in the hopes that they can listen to the answering machine. And they go there pretty much they get what they need, but like he's kind of harassed by the ex-girlfriend because she wants to sleep with him again.
Yeah.
And they get out of there, but they drive away, and then they're chasing. The couple is chasing. They're going after the car. And then he's like, "Hey, you get back here and you have sex with my wife."
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then my third one is not another teen movie. This is another movie that I've seen countless times. And this one has so many quotable moments in it. Just because like it's making fun of like all those teen movies. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the name of the movie, not another teen movie. They're making fun of like all those tropes, like the best friend who's overshadowed, and then like he becomes the boyfriend in the end and whatever. And then like the reform or the jock who like makes a bet with his friends to like take the ugliest girl to prom and whatever. Anyway, one of my favorite moments is Jake and I'm trying to remember her name. Not Amy. Anyway, the protagonist, the female protagonist, they're going to prom, and she's going down the stairs in slow-mo, because, what happens in a teen movie.
Yeah.
But her family is so poor, like, the house is falling apart. So as she's going down the stairs, she falls down through the stairs. And then Jake, he goes running over concerned. He's like, "Oh, is she okay?" And then her dad's like, "Quit farting around, honey." Like it was just her fault.
Alright, girl.
And then another scene from there, pretty much in the beginning to show how self-absorbed Jake is. He's walking through the school, and then he sees like a picture of himself, and it's like best quarterback or something like that. Like it has his name on it. and then he goes 5 feet over to like a different wall, and he sees a picture of him looking at his picture of himself.
God. I think that's gonna be my favorite meme. It's like they have that scene, but in the picture frame, the picture of himself, it's Chris Evans' butt in Captain America. He's just like looking at it, smiling. Oh man, so good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And like this movie had not only like great dialogue, like it's very campy. It's supposed to be campy because it's making fun of like these movies,
Yeah.
but it also had like just absolutely hilarious background conversations or background dialogue. Like, oh, Jamie, that's her name. Jamie, she goes to like her first, high school party and there's drinking or whatever. And then Jay gives her non-alcoholic beer and she's like pretending she's wasted. So she's on the second floor of the house and she jumps into the pool. So she gets out of the pool and she's being wet. And then Jamie Presley's character, who's, she's the popular girl, she doesn't want Jamie taking her spotlight. So she opens up a bottle of water, starts pouring it on Jamie, and then you can hear like, a background character, like they're off screen, she's going like, "That's gonna stain."
Oh my god.
There's so much of that humor in there.
Yeah. I gotta watch that movie.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, it's such a funny movie. It's like the humor is kind of close to Airplane, actually. Like it's very like they take it seriously, but it's not supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But it's delivered seriously.
Nice.
Okay, that's my list.
Very nice.
Okay, so the movies I picked was The Pest, and I don't think anyone's seen it.
No.
Nope.
Never heard of it.
It's John Leguizamo when he like kind of first starts out, and pretty much it's him. I don't know how to describe it. So it's him being like a con artist, and then he signs a contract with this guy that who's this expert hunter, and he's hunted every kind of animal, and so he thought it'd be fun to hunt humans, and so he picked John Leguizamo. Well, actually he didn't. He picked a different guy and told his assistant, "I want to kill that guy. He looks like, a good specimen, a good person to chase after kind of thing." But the assistant thought he meant John Leguizamo, and then it turns into this whole weird thing. And it's a movie I watched as a kid, and there's like a lot of quotable things that me and my family do a lot, but the intro for me is like one of the most memorable things because it's John Leguizamo singing, rapping thing, and he's like doing really random things in the shower. And one of the things is he puts his hair like parts it kind of in a way, and then he has vampire teeth in his mouth, and then he starts talking like Dracula, and he's like, "One stinky winky," and like it's just him farting. It's, I don't know, it was really funny as a kid. Yes, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's obviously old, but the intro is really hilarious.
All I can think about is that John Leguizamo is also Sid the Sloth.
Yeah, see, this is before that. I think it's hilarious. And then there's like another scene where the guy that's hunting him was like, "Oh, well, I put poison in your alcohol when we toast before the hunt started." And then John Leguizamo's like, "Well, if I was poisoned, would I be able to do this?" And he starts doing like random dances, and then he goes over to someone and like gives him like a wet willy, and then gives him a wedgie, and like the whole time he's like, "Would I be able to do this?" And then yeah, it's just great. Okay, next movie would be The Birdcage with Robin Williams, and
Was this before or after
what?
he died?
That was dark.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anyways,
wow.
you liked this movie too.
I did.
Anyways, so I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I haven't.
Nope.
Okay, well, Robin Williams plays a gay guy who owns a nightclub with his husband, and it has like drag queens and all this kind of scene. And they have, I think he's like their assistant or someone that lives with them, and his name is, I had to write it down, Spartacus. And I think, and so pretty much he is always walking around in like short shorts or I don't know, crop tops, and he's never wearing shoes. And it gets brought up like why he doesn't wear shoes, and he goes, and he has like this accent, and it just, I don't know, it's hilarious. And he goes, they make me fall, and so he always walks around barefoot. And then Robin Williams has a kid with his first wife, and the kid's getting married, and he's like, well, you know, her parents want to meet my parents. And so him being gay, he was like, well, do they know, you know, that your dad's gay? And he was like, no, we didn't tell them. So they decide to dress up Robin Williams' husband as a woman, and then they tell Spartacus that he needs to dress up as a butler, so they don't know that we're gay, kind of thing. And so they're getting ready for their dinner, and Spartacus isn't wearing his shoes yet. And they tell him, Spartacus, put your shoes on. And he's like, I'm gonna trip, kind of thing. And then he eventually puts his shoes on, and then the doorbell rings, and he goes to open the door, and he slips, and the shoe just kind of flies as he falls. And they're like, Spartacus, he goes, it's the shoes! I don't know, it's hilarious. And then Robin Williams also does a scene where he's directing a dance scene, and he's like, you want to, I don't know the exact words he says, but Madonna. Like, he goes into this whole, like, scene of how they should dance, and it's great. Yeah, you should watch that scene. Yeah, and then the next one I'm hoping you guys heard of, because so far you haven't heard of the last two, is The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler. Okay, well, there we go. And I mean, that movie has a lot of good scenes in it. It's probably like one of my favorite movies. I put the Somebody Killed Me scene where he's singing, and it's a part where Drew Barrymore's character is looking for a wedding singer for her wedding, and I can't remember his name. I don't know. He's always in Adam Sandler's movie. He's in Little Nicky, and I remember him being the bird or something. Anyways, he is his rival, like, DJ or rival wedding singer, and he's singing, and he's obviously, I don't know, over sexual with his way of singing, and Drew Barrymore is like, uncomfortable with him. And Adam Sandler turns and goes, oh, I'm not that bad, was I? And she's like, no, you're great. And so then she dismisses him, and I forget how it gets brought up, but she asks him to sing, and he goes, well, I've been working on it long. And she goes, yeah, let me hear it. And then he's like, I just want to remind you, I was listening to The Cure a lot. And then he starts singing his song, and then he starts screaming, somebody kill me, please. And it's just great. And it's hilarious. And then the other scene I really like is, like, after Adam Sandler's love interest, I think her name is Linda, leaves him at the altar. She comes over later in the day, I believe, and tries to, like, talk to him about it. And she pretty much tells him, oh, I'm not interested in you right now. I used to be, but I don't think I'm in love with you, kind of thing. And then, like, Adam Sandler's like, nephew comes over, and he tells Linda that she's the devil and that she was evil, kind of thing. And then, like, the character, like, her face just drops, and she looks at him, she goes, I gotta go. I gotta leave. And, like, the way she says it is just great. Just, I gotta go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is a great movie.
It is.
Well, you guys really nailed the singular favorite moment.
You can't do it, though.
But
Comedy movies.
Yeah.
This is, I can't say I didn't do any different, but just wanted to put that out there. So for me, I did put them in order, but I really like a lot of comedy movies, so I guess I can't exactly do that, but at least for this I did put them in order. And I'll start at the bottom since apparently I've been corrected so many times. So number 3 for me is a Mel Brooks classic, Young Frankenstein. It's basically the origin story of Victor Frankenstein's son, and it stars Gene Wilder, like, in his prime. And I don't know, I can't remember if this one came out before or after Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but it's like some brilliant Gene Wilder stuff.
It is.
I have not seen it yet.
You haven't? Oh man,
Me
you missed
either.
out.
And it's
It's so
one of my
good.
mom's favorite movies, too.
It is. It's so good. For favorite moment, I have 2 for this one. One is where they first get the Frankenstein's monster, like, alive, and he creates life, and he's all excited or whatever, and suddenly it escapes from the table that he has it, like, strapped down on, and it starts coming after him because it's, like, got this, you know, nasty brain or whatever, and they've already established it's an abnormal brain. And it comes over and it grabs Victor by the neck, and he's just, like, being strangled by this thing, and he has his, like, assistant and little, like, Igor or whatever his name is, and they're
Igor?
there. I think it's like Igor, but Igor. I think he pronounces it Igor.
Yeah, anyway.
Anyways, they're, like, watching the doctor being strangled, and so he starts doing charades to tell them, like, hey, I need help. And they're, like, watching it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's 3 syllables. Okay, first syllable sounds like bed. Said, okay, said. And he goes to the second one, and they're like, okay, it sounds like seta, and then the last one, he's trying to, like, tell them Tiv, but you can't really tell someone Tiv. So they're like, it sounds like Tiv lived this give, set a give, set a give. And somebody finally figures it out that it's sedative. I think it's the assistant, and they put it in the Frankenstein monster, and he like passes out or whatever. And Victor stands there for a second, and he's just like, sedative. It's just, oh, it's so funny. And then the other moment I have is where Victor, he's trying to show off the Frankenstein's monster because he's, like, taught him some tricks and stuff, and he's at this, like, benefit ball for the town or whatever, and he's trying to do, like, this little dance or whatever with the Frankensteins, basically putting on the Ritz or whatever, and he's trying to show off how smart he is, but when he's starting his presentation, he gets out on the stage, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, or whatever, and then all of a sudden, from the crowd, and you can miss it really easily, but all of a sudden from the crowd there's this random hiss, like just a loud, like, snake hiss, and it goes by so quickly. But he pauses, Gene Wilder pauses when he hears it, just for a second, and then he gets back into what he was saying. And it's just like, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, yes! It's just so dumb and so funny. I love that sort of, like, off-brand humor where it just something totally random happens while somebody's, like, trying to say something or something like that. So yeah, Young Frankenstein is a classic, and y'all should watch it.
Oh, Hannah,
Nice.
it came out 3 years after Willy Wonka.
Oh, so it was after.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So for the second movie, my number 2 is a movie called 9 Months. I don't know if any of you have seen it because it's a romantic comedy.
Never heard of it.
Me either.
It's an early Hugh Grant movie,
Oh.
and it's Hugh Grant and Julianne Moore, and it's basically the story about this couple getting pregnant and having a kid, but it's told from like the man's perspective, which you don't see a lot, so I appreciate it already for that. But it's really funny. It's basically showing how like this very stable man has to give up so much for this kid that he's about to have, and how he has like this mental breakdown because he has to change his life so much. But you know, when they have the kids, it's all worth it because it's like his son or whatever, and it's really touching and really funny. Lots of heartwarming moments, but my favorite moment is the friend of Hugh Grant's character is having like a picnic at his house, and he's invited his sister and their family over for this lunch or whatever, and also Hugh Grant and his I think they were girlfriend boyfriend at the time, and they're all having this lunch together, and the friend is played by Jeff Goldblum. And so he plays like a very, very Ian Malcolm type character, where he's just like suave and cool. And
Yeah.
his sister has these kids, and they're all these like younger kids, and he can't stand them because like they're all at that age where they're just like horrible children, and they're all sitting at this lunch with them. And Hugh Grant looks over at one of the kids who's sitting next to him, and this kid, it's really funny, is played by a very young Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie in The Last of Us.
Oh.
And she's really young, but she's just staring at him for no reason, and he just is sort of like looking at her like, what the heck? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like, "Marry me." And he's like looking around like, what? And everybody's like starting to look over their way, and she looks at him again. She's like, "Marry me, Captain Ronaldo." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, well, honeymoon in Paris. And he's like, I don't think so, sweetheart. Like, that's cute, but I don't think so. And she's like, "It's King Stanislaw's daughter, isn't it? You're madly in love with her. I saw it." And he's like starting to freak out because she's like yelling, and everybody's looking over at them like, what is going on over there? And he's like, you might want to quiet down or whatever. And she's like, "Don't deny it. I saw both of you kissing." And then she slaps him across the face as hard as she can.
Damn.
She's like, "You brute." And it's like this little kid yelling at him, and he looks at everybody. He's like, "She just hit me incredibly hard." And the mom of that kid looks over at him, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. She's going through this romance novel phase." So she's like, projecting all of that onto you. But like just that scene itself where she's yelling at him, this older man, it's just, oh my gosh, it's comedy gold. So that one is a great movie as well. Great romantic comedy. But my number one, and this one's already been mentioned, is Airplane. It's just,
Nice.
like Kyle said, one of those movies that can make you laugh nonstop. Like from the beginning where they're talking about the white zones, like you're already like busting a gut. And it doesn't stop till the end. So some of my favorite moments from that, one of them is where the doctor has first diagnosed one of the patients, and he's like, we need to land this plane as soon as we can and get these patients to a hospital. And the flight attendant's like, "A hospital? what is it? And he's like, it's a big building with patients in it, but that's not important right now.
That was the other one. Oh man.
It's just so like deadpan, like you said. It's
Yeah.
so deadpan. Another one is when all the people are in the control deck or whatever, and they're trying to figure out how this plane is going to land, and somebody prints up a document and rips it off, and he's like, "Johnny, what can you make of this?" And Johnny,
Johnny's
one of the best characters.
Yeah, seriously.
He's like, "Well, I can make a brooch. I can make an origami swan.
I can make a hat."
Make a hat."
Oh man.
It's so good. And then the last one I could think of that hasn't already been mentioned was another deadpan where he's talking, the doctor's talking to the main character, and he's like trying to figure out how to fly again or whatever, and he's like, "Can you tell me how soon we're gonna land?" And he's like, "Well, I can't say." He's like, "You can't say? Can't you take a guess?" And he's like, "I guess." And he's like, he says something like, "Maybe for another 2 hours." And he's like, "You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?" Another one of those instances where you're expecting him to be like, "Oh, okay, 2 hours will be landed." But he's like,
Yeah.
"You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?"
Yeah, it's so literally taken.
It's, oh gosh, that, like, the drinking problem, like, everything in that movie is so funny. Oh, Gigi, you are really missing out. You need
Yeah.
to watch this movie.
I forgot about that Johnny character because there was that other part where the guy was like, I think he
Fog's
just
getting thicker, and Larry's getting larger.
where the one guy in there he was like Johnny coffee, and then Johnny's like, "No thanks, I've already had some," but he was like asking Johnny to get him coffee.
Johnny's one of the best.
Yeah, seriously. Oh man.
Oh gosh. But yeah,
Classic.
those are my comedy movies.
Good stuff. We're gonna have to watch all these movies.
Oh heck yeah.
All right, so I guess we're moving on to my question, which was super last minute. But anyway, so this is a scenario, I guess. Which condition would you rather have? And the options are: you're always yelling at the top of your lungs, no matter what, whenever you're talking, forever, and but all that comes out is like really good, like positive things for like it could be like compliments for other people or whatever. Anything you say, it's a good thing, but you're just super loud, like forever. And or the opposite would be you're like whispering under your breath all the time, and you're saying like really like bad things about people, but you know it's quiet, so you might get away with it. But pretty much anything that comes out of your mouth is going to be something insulting. So which scenario would you choose?
Okay, I chose the yelling compliments one.
Wow.
What?
Not what I expected.
Well, like, I don't know, if you're mumbling shit, like, someone's going to hear it at some point, especially if, like, they know you for such a long time,
Yeah.
that they're like, oh, it's gonna talk quiet, so I need to get in and listen and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't mean it, like, it sounds like this is something that's, I guess, like a magical curse or something. So,
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily mean that you mean what you're saying, but you're not going to take it that way. It's because you can't even explain yourself.
Without another
but-
instance.
But like, if you're, yelling compliments, like you're yelling, sure, but you're complimenting people, which people like. If you're just doing the insults, like you're just gonna alienate people, and like, sure, like it's great to be alone every now and then, but like, you do need people in your life.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'd rather be positive. So
You're the
I
best
chose
of
the just the compliments.
Yeah. I I agree with Trevor. I went with the compliments as well because I'm very non-confrontational unless I have to be. And I rather spread positive than negative.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So,
Uh-oh.
I went with the whispering under my breath with insults. Mostly because when I was thinking about it, like, obviously spreading positivity is obviously better.
Obviously.
But
However,
I know.
I don't like yelling. Like, I don't like how I sound when I yell, and I don't like how it feels when I yell. So I don't think I could live with that. So I went with the whispering because, when I talk, usually, especially when I'm talking to people that I'm not exactly, like, comfortable with yet, I feel like I mumble anyways.
What was that?
Apparently always.
Exactly. So I feel like I'd be more comfortable, like, physically with that than yelling, even if it was, like, the nicest things ever. I don't know. I can't do that. So.
Okay. Well, for mine, I chose to be yelling with compliments. I too am not a very confrontational person, so I feel like I wouldn't handle myself well in a situation where I'm like insulting somebody. I feel like I would probably get my ass kicked or worse. And I feel like for me, if that scenario was real, and I had to be yelling all the time, other people probably wouldn't get used to it, but I would, and I think I'd be okay with it, and it would just be a part of my life because there are loud people out there.
Yes.
Maybe they're not yelling at the top of their lungs constantly, but I don't know. I feel like spreading positivity in a loud way could make me. It could do good things for me. So I would choose that over being a quiet little asshole.
So, I just have to get really good at insults.
Yeah.
And really good at comebacks.
Yeah.
I could do that in silence.
All right, Trevor.
Okay. I just came up with a question that's very out of character for me.
Yeah.
If you know me, you know I don't give a shit about sports. Even water polo, which is something I did. But if you could be a top athlete in any sport, which would it be and why?
Why? Why?
So I had to ask Trevor to clarify.
What a sport was?
What sports are, yeah.
And I was
What
like,
sport?
and I was like, does NASCAR count as a sport? Technically, it is a sport. And he said, yeah, so I'm gonna go with NASCAR.
Oh my god.
I want to go fast, like Ricky Bobby.
Jesus.
Is that it? Where's the why?
You gonna elaborate on
I
that?
just said.
Because
I
she
wanna
wants to go fast.
Like Ricky Bobby?
Oh
I
my
want to
God.
be fast. I want to go so fast that, like, I don't know.
Gonna win all the piston cups.
I've always been into cars, and I've always been into racing, like drag racing, like not like Queen's drag racing, but like, you know, the vehicles
Well,
drag
and
racing.
Queen's drag racing.
Well, yeah, but I'm
True.
saying in this instance that I really do like cars. Like as a kid, we would go and watch the races at the fairgrounds. We would go to car shows. We would go to drag races, like really, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I was always into NASCAR. So
They're making a left turn.
I don't know what it was, but it was just so interesting to me. I love the smell of the tires and the burning and
Burnt rubber.
gasoline. Yeah, I love racing. So.
I want to bring up an episode from Malcolm in the Middle. Yeah, it seems random, but
Yeah,
there's an
I know what you're
episode
talking
when
about.
Hal takes the kids out of school to go to a NASCAR race
Yeah.
event.
Mhm.
And, you know, they're out in the bleachers, like, very hot outside. And then it kind of shows, like, this little montage. Not really a montage, but, like, very quick cuts. Like, oh, this car's turning. And, like, it goes on for a while. And, like, they mark down just, like, one lap has gone by. Like, they're so miserable the
Yeah.
whole time.
See, I wasn't that way though. I don't know. It's very interesting to me.
I've been to a NASCAR race before. I did not find it fun at all.
I've been to races, like
It was like
local races. But
it was
not
like a
NASCAR
legit
races.
one with like I don't know. It had like 100 laps or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, it was so
That is so-
annoying.
The pit crew's so entertaining. Oh my god.
There
Oh my
was
God.
I don't know what was so amusing about it. And I was a kid. I was like I don't know. I was like 9 years old maybe. I just didn't
hear
like
the
it.
Cars.
I
Well,
don't.
I don't like
It scared
baseball,
me.
so.
Those sound like fighting words.
But yeah, mine was NASCAR. I don't know. It's like the one sport that I'm interested in. So.
Cute.
Okay. I had a hard time choosing between two. But I think I ultimately chose one or the other. My like honorable mention, I guess, was motocross racing.
Interesting.
Just because my dad was a motocross racer when he was young, and he grew up like loving motocross and taught us all about the stuff and all about the bikes. And I would spend time in the garage like watching him fix bikes, and we'd go to the races, the tracks. When I lived in Colorado, there was a ton of tracks out there. So I'm just used to that atmosphere. I always love it when there's like a lady rider who can ride with the dudes. And
Lady
Um,
Rider.
yeah,
Sounds like
'cause, like it's a very male-oriented sport
Yeah.
as it is. So when you see like the lady riders that are really fast too, I always think that's exciting. Which I mean, that's exciting in general too, because
Yeah.
what's her name? Danica Patrick was racing with the NASCAR guys.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was. I was so excited when she started racing.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. But yeah, that was my honorable mention. But my sport was softball. And before you make all the lesbian jokes in the world,
Oh my god.
I I
Wasn't
played
going
softball all throughout. Well, I guess I started when I was like 6 or 7, and played all through high school. I wish I had played college ball, but I didn't go to like a big university, so there wasn't a big university team. But I've always enjoyed that sport, just because people they underestimate it a lot. I think it's been scientifically proven that hitting a softball off of a softball pitcher is much harder than hitting a baseball off of a baseball pitcher. And I just think it's so cool, because it's a totally different way of pitching. It's a totally different size field, different size ball. Like, I don't know. There's so much I love about that sport, and just being in the dugout and being on the field. Like, my position was always shortstop or third base, which typically means you have one of the best arms on the team. Just
That's a
saying.
brag.
Not brag.
Gonna toot my own horn here.
It also
One-arm
meant that
push-ups.
Well, it also meant, like, back in high school, I was the one who usually had to wear a mouth guard because I played very infield third base instead of behind the bag. So I had this, like,
Up
goofy
close and
looking
personal.
mouth guard. Yeah. But, yeah, I love the anticipation of waiting on a pitch and, like, it being hit, like, super fast in your direction. You like, your fight or flight takes over and you have to, like,
Yeah.
grab it on the ground, grab it in the air. Like, there's like so much that goes into that one decision that it's just, I love that feeling. So I would choose softball. And I'm very sad that they took it out of the Olympics because there was some hella good players on that team. But yeah, I would love to
Nice.
be a pro softball.
Nice. So, probably pretty obvious what I chose. I'm in the same spectrum as Hannah. Baseball would be my sport. It's pretty much the only sport I watch or take interest in. I played volleyball in high school, and that's a really fun sport. But I don't find it that interesting to watch it. It's much more fun to play it. And it's not really that popular outside of high school and college. So yeah, baseball. I just really love everything about baseball. I think it takes a lot to really know and understand baseball, because it's not just pitch a ball, hit a ball, catch a ball, run. It's there's so many statistics, and it goes for softball too. But I think baseball has one of the most it's like one of the most like statistical games out there, at least sports wise. And I just have a lot of respect for the game, and I think the reason I choose baseball is because if you were like what I think about baseball, it's like one of the hardest sports, because it's really not just a physical game. It's very mental. I think it's more mental than physical at times, because you look at a sport like football, it's pretty much all physical, and there's a lot of mental parts that go into it as well. But for baseball, it's all about the stats, and it's all about as a fielder, you have to anticipate where the certain hitter is going to hit the ball, and as a pitcher, you have to anticipate which pitch the hitter is not going to hit, and as a hitter, you have to anticipate which pitch is he going to throw at me. So I mean, to be the best at a sport like baseball, I feel like it's basically saying you're being the best at one of the hardest, like one of the hardest sports.
This podcast brought to you by Big League Chew.
Oh, there's a lot of that happening too. That and sunflower seeds. Fuck. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for me.
Played baseball for one season, single A. I was horrible at it. I was the right fielder. And like I was that kid who would like rather pay attention to all the bugs around me than what's going on in the game.
You're literally John Heater from Benchwarmers.
Yeah.
And then when I was up to bat, I was used to striking out, and then if I actually hit the ball, I was used to not making it to first base on time. I remember I hit the ball, ran to first, and then I just started walking back to the bench, and the coach is like, "No, you made it, go back."
Poor Trevor.
Anyway, so despite shitting on it, I chose water polo. Just for one reason, and I'm gonna let Gigi guess what that reason is.
What?
The speed.
You know why?
Yeah, speedos.
Why?
Why would I choose water polo?
Because you really like swimming.
Yep.
And you like water.
Yeah.
Oh.
So just for the fact that I love pools. If you see
won't
me
let me
around
get
a
a
pool, that's probably like the happiest you'll ever see me. I don't know. There's just something about being in the water that's so. I know. Sorry. But that's
I can't
true.
imagine you
It's
any
true.
happier, Trevor.
No. Get me near a pool and you'll see, Hannah.
Yeah, he
I've
is
seen
like
it.
a fish. Just splashing everywhere.
Yeah, I remember when we went
Yeah.
camping, Trevor would like carry me to the freaking dock when we went to the lake.
Yeah.
He carried me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't care either.
No, he was happy.
He was like, yeah, just grab on.
Yeah, I love pools, and I mean, not to mention, like, you'd be in pretty good shape. Not
For sure.
saying you wouldn't be for baseball or softball, but
What about NASCAR?
You
you're
don't need to
sitting down
be.
for a lot. Yeah.
I even that big
It's a
gulp
joke.
in the cup holder.
Yeah.
Water and soda pop.
Yeah, she'd have her Slurpees in there. Like,
It
no,
gets hot.
there'd be like empty Slurpee cups in the back seat because she just doesn't want to clean
There's
it
no
out.
seats back there.
In the engine compartment. Then
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Too
What is
much
NASCAR?
weight. Anyways,
But yeah,
Well, you
I
gotta have
love
that
swimming.
speedo bod.
no, you don't.
Well, I mean,
Anybody's
for
a
water
speedo
polo.
bod.
Well, keep in mind, part of the question is you would be a top athlete.
Yeah.
So whatever that means for your sport.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fat guys in NASCAR.
You see
That's
NASCAR
important,
guys? They're going to the gym. They're like, I gotta train for NASCAR.
I gotta hold on to a steering wheel.
Well, because, like, even if you think about what I said about motocross, like, those guys are constantly training, too, because they're on the bikes, but they're riding the bikes like you would ride, like, a competitive horse, where you're, like, standing and
Yeah.
you're adjusting to the jumps and stuff, but in NASCAR, there's none of that.
None of this negativity is gonna affect my answer.
Gigi, this is the thing, though. I don't know if I could see you doing NASCAR. I could see you doing, like, monster trucks. That's where I
No.
feel like you would be
No,
at.
it's too high up.
Yeah, it's
Really?
It's too
Yeah.
scary.
Really?
It's not scary. I've been to monster truck things.
I've been to
it
a
was
monster
God,
okay.
you're so
I-
white, Gigi.
What? What does that have to do with it?
That's such a white thing to do. Like go
It
into
is.
monster truck, NASCAR, all that shit.
I'm sorry, I didn't know sports had races to them.
They
My
do.
dad took me on Valentine's Day.
I don't care. But none of y'all said.
I'm surprised by that. I figured, like, with your chaotic energy, you'd be perfect for a monster truck.
I have chaotic energy.
Way to assume she has energy.
Yeah.
Too.
Seriously.
Hence
All right.
NASCAR.
All right, guys. Trevor, were you done with your answer?
I love pools.
I like those.
I love lamp. All right. Well, let's end the video with some positive stuff, even though this was a pretty positive video.
Yeah.
We-
Should
we
we go
s-
around?
Yeah, we started a segment last week where we tried to say something positive about something that happened to us in the last week. So let's start with Gigi. Something positive.
Let's see. Well, we went on a really nice walk yesterday.
I was gonna do that.
We could do the same one.
It's all right. I'll cut
was
Gigi
really-
out. You can do it, Trevor.
It was really nice weather. It was sunny for the first time, I think. It was sunny and not hot,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was really nice.
Yeah, it looked
so
nice.
we did a really good walk. Yeah,
That's good. Walking's always
Yeah.
good.
yeah, because apparently all I
Good
do
for
is
ya.
sit. NASCAR.
Get outside once in a while. I'm assuming I'm next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Not too much happy this week, but one of the highlights of my week was talking to my mom. My brother recently got married, and he's like starting to live like the married life or whatever.
Yeah.
Aw.
And so we're kind of like making fun of him. Like just like I kept telling her like I'm pretty sure the theme from Up is just playing in their house constantly. Like they're just living that happy little like new couple life and all that. And my mom called me one day this week and was just like, your brother just asked me for a recipe so that he could cook for his wife, and it was adorable.
Oh my gosh.
we spent like 2 hours on the phone just laughing about that. Like, 'cause my brother was like so the opposite before that. Like he was lazy. He didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And seeing him in this like I want to cook for my wife and stuff. Like, it's so cute and it's so adorable, and it's
That's
also
nice.
like ironically funny at the same time. Yeah, that just made my week.
That's awesome.
Aw, that's cute.
All right. Something positive. Let's see. Well, recently I've been taking my cat Jenny to the vet, and it's been kind of, I don't know, negative.
Not positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last few weeks, and I haven't been like super down about it, but it's been in the back of my mind. Like, my dad and I were talking about it, like financially, we were like, we can't keep paying, you know, $600-700 a week for her to get better, and she's getting pretty up there in age. And we were talking about it today before we went. We're like, well, let's hope that it's nothing bad, but if it's something that we have to pay for again, like, we might have to decline and, you know, think about maybe putting her down. And so that was kind of shitty. But then when we got there, the doctor checked up on her, and the infection that was inside her urinary bladder, I guess, bladder? I think it was her bladder.
Urinary tract.
Yeah, that. It was going down. It's still there, but it's going down. So that means the meds are working, and
Nice.
She's gonna be okay.
Aw.
We have another set of stuff that we have to give her for the next 14 days, and then after 2 weeks from now, we'll take her in for a checkup, and that should be it, and she should be all good. So we found out that she's gonna be okay, and we don't have to pay $700 every weekend.
Yeah, that's
So-
nice.
Yay.
So yeah,
I'm so
Jenny's
happy
gonna
to
be
hear
good.
that.
Thanks.
Aw.
She'll live for another 6
80
years.
Yeah.
80 years. She'll never die. She'll live longer
Put it in
than
the
I
books.
will.
Yeah.
She's an old lady.
Okay. So like Gigi mentioned, we went on a walk yesterday. Weather was really nice, and there was a certain spot. We took like this little path where it was walking only, and then because it's right next to the Willamette River, like there's these little mini dirt paths that you can take to get right next to the river, so you can like kayak or go onto like an inner tube or whatever you want to do. And in this one spot, it seemed to go by pretty quickly. So like I took a little video of it, and then I also took a picture. And just like looking at the picture, it seemed like it was a really good picture. So I'm not really a picture guy myself. Like I don't care for my picture being taken at all. I mean,
Obviously.
I don't really care to take pictures, but I was kind of proud of that one.
Oh, that's
Nice.
good.
Did you Instagram it?
No.
Did you do it for the gram?
Yeah, I'll leave Trevor's Instagram handle in in the description below if anyone wants to go follow.
It's gonna be empty.
There's like 5 pictures, I think, on your Instagram.
One's like of your under chin, like, oh shoot. Wrong angle
Actually, I think
today.
that's like the last picture he took was like at Golfland, and he's like making a really awkward
Yeah.
face. And yes,
I'll always remember that picture. I was there. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. All 13, 14 of you guys. And you know, say hello to your mother for me.
Whoa.